Hey, I'm Vicki.
And I'm Sam. We are Canteen, the developers of CorpoNation The Sorting Process. Welcome to our developer diary.
In our last video, we talked about what it's like to work at the CorpoNation, and today we wanted to talk instead about what it's like to live there.
When we first thought up CorpoNation, we knew we wanted to create a dystopian setting. So we were inspired by what we saw in the world around us. Corporate greed, constant work, and your job being your whole identity.
And we definitely wanted to emulate the experience of having a routine as a person that exists in the working world. So when you get home from work, you'll arrive in your living pod, 4 walls of your own in the same building that you work in for an easy commute.
We wanted the space to feel small enough that it feels claustrophobic, but also give you a sense of feeling like home at times.
Fun fact, we actually built the room out in The Sims 4 to get a better idea of the space. And so given that this is the room where the player's going to be living and spending quite a lot of their time, we thought it would be good to have a computer in there. And the computer kind of also felt like a really good tool for the company to exert control over their workforce. Also, I loved exploring every corner of my childhood PC, Windows 95, and I've always really loved games that emulate the PC experience in some way, so like Seville, Night in the Woods, Her Story. So yeah, having a PC for the player to explore in CorpoNation felt like a really good way to bring our ideas together.
We also couldn't imagine this dystopian setting without bills. Bills reinforce your feeling of being trapped. They're a regular payment that you know you're going to have to pay no matter what. When people got to play an early build of our game, we were really worried that they weren't going to pay any attention to the bills. But instead, what we found was that every day when they got home from work, they'd load up the bills app and keep careful track of what bills they had to pay. It was really surprising and kind of emulated real life in a way that we didn't expect.
So one of the more common themes of dystopian fiction has always been control, and we express that in our game through the news app, where every day you can open it to find out what's going on in the world, but it's also the only source of information you have, so you have no real way of knowing whether or not what's being printed is true or false. You have no way of filtering that out. And it also kind of hopefully makes you feel a bit more like the world is happening independently of you, and it has the ability, the things going on out there have the ability to impact your life in different ways.
The dystopia we've created in the CorpoNation is a capitalist dystopia. So we know we want you to spend your money putting it back into the economy in various different ways. And a fun way that we decided early on was to let you buy products to decorate your room. It's quite a nice creative thing that games we like, such as like Stardew Valley do, and it's always incredible seeing the farms that people create. And we wanted to allow people to have the kind of a similar expression in our own game of decorating their pod and kind of showing off who they are as a worker in the CorpoNation.
Even though the environment that you're in seems a little isolating, hopefully you shouldn't ever be lonely, because Ringo will provide you with 3 state-assigned chat buddies to talk about work with. You'll be able to watch their stories unfold as the narrative progresses, and they'll share with you their hopes and dreams, and you'll be able to see a variety of different experiences. For example, Ness, who is an avid gamer who's way more interested in talking about leveling up their character than talking about work.
Speaking of gaming, we knew the CorpoNation would definitely let its workers play games. So one of the games you can play is a fighting game. I really love games like Street Fighter, so I've designed a game that kind of looks a bit like that, but it's super simplified. You've just got 2 buttons, attack and block. There's a little bit of skill to it, but more importantly, it's pay to win. So at any point, you can pay money and heal yourself. We wanted to kind of parody contemporary predatory monetization that happens in games. So there's a whole bunch of cosmetics, a whole bunch of daily quests, and the more you spend your money, the more you're going to win.
So the other game that you can play is much more chill. It's Solitaire. I absolutely love Solitaire, and I think sample sorting is quite a lot like organising a deck of cards in some ways. So having a sample version of Solitaire lets you bring your work home with you, which is exactly the kind of thing you'd probably have to do in a corporate dystopia.
We tried out loads of different things to have more ways for work to come home with you as well. And one of the ones that felt really nice was surveys. They were kind of inspired by BuzzFeed survey quizzes, and they give you a way to kind of express yourself in a way and get a little financial reward. Both of us have worked in places where the company will send out a survey to everyone and tell you that You need to answer it honestly. There's going to be no consequences. But then it turns out everyone answers honestly and management don't like the way it worked. And our game's going to be similar. You're going to have to watch out for tricks and traps in the surveys that they're sending you.
So as you can hopefully tell, there is quite a lot to do to unwind after work in the CorpoNation. But obviously quite a lot of it is going to cost you money, so you're going to have to show Ringo that you are committed and put that money back into the economy. And unfortunately, if you're not careful, you may end up in debt.
One of the best ways to get out of debt is probably going to be to work with the rebels, but we'll talk more about them in the future.
Thank you for watching. We hope you learned a little bit more about the world that we've created and how we created it.
If you really want to try the game today, there's a spoiler-free prologue you can play on Steam for free, or the full game comes out on February the 22nd, and you can give it a wish list. It really will help us out if you do.
Work
hard.